Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. One of my viewers asked a good question the other day, and I thought it would be worth checking out. Question was, how does Yum Rinseless, which is obviously one of our top cleaners, how does that compare to Loki? Which Loki's been around now for a little over a year. It's a super nice foaming rinseless. It's definitely a cleaner. I actually use Loki around here to clean wheels. When I'm inside the garage and don't really want to go out, or if it's too cold, it does a really good job cleaning wheels and tires. So I thought this would be a good, interesting test. So what I did in order to do this test is I'm using distilled water. Went with 512 milliliters, and then I threw in 2 milliliters of each rinseless in the sprayers here. Sprayed it on the back of this van, which is fairly dirty. Not, ridiculously dirty, but here you can see we've got Yum going on the right side. Just to give it a good, pre-soak like I would, doing a regular rinseless wash. And get a pretty good amount on there. I normally do that when the car is dirty. And then here is Loki. And as you can see, Loki, even though it's a hybrid, it does foam. Foaming is optional. It foams really well at normal foaming dilution. I think 2 ounces for 1,000 milliliters, or 32 ounces. If you just use it like a rinseless, which is what I'm doing here, this is rinseless dilution, which is 256 to 1 on both of these rinseless washes. So I'm just going to let this sit as long as I can. Even if it dries, it's not a huge problem. So I'm noticing some dirt coming off there. I left a strip in the middle so we could, see what's going on. Throwing a little more on, see if we can get some more definitive look at how these things are melting the dirt. They're both doing a pretty good job. Both of them seem, pretty equivalent just based on the pre-soak here. We'll know more when we actually get to the spun. But here you can see the dirt level. It's kind of starting to melt off the dirt on the back. White car is good for these kind of tests because you can easily see what the water, what the dirt is doing, what the rinseless is doing. Now I've got warm water here for the wash because it's just crazy cold over here. I'm gonna put 12 milliliters into each of these. That's Loki. I've got about 3 liters of water, so 12 milliliters rounded up. That's your 256 to 1 dilution. I love the tip on the Yum. It's very easy when you're doing silly tests like this because you can get, the perfect amount because we're all kind of crazy. So I would imagine we all use a scale when we're doing rinseless. Anyway, got my water here. Both of these are warm. And I've got my double flips, so throw those guys in. All right, so the hardest part of this is making sure that I am on the verge of dripping. That in itself is pretty subjective. But I just tried to make sure that I'm doing, the best I can to get them both equal. So as I'm using the Yum here, the slickness is crazy. It's really good, really enjoyable. It's definitely a cleaner. I'm enjoying the smell pretty good. But there you can see the dirt coming off there. Trying like a POV camera setup here for the first time, so it's not perfect, but I thought it'd give you a little better look at exactly what I'm seeing here. So done with the yum. Put it back in the bucket, and we're going here with the Detail Co Loki. Trying again to make sure that it is as equally wet as the yum side from the double flip. So we're gonna go around here, and one of the things I notice when I go on the panel here and on the glass with Loki is how similar it feels to the yum. Very similar, at least as slick. I mean, I don't think I would call it slicker, but it is at least as slick. You know, you can see a little bubbles here because, again, this is a foamer if you want it to be. But, man, it is cleaning, you know, at least as well as yum. I again, based on my experience with these two from this test, I would say there's not a ton of difference in cleaning power between these two. So if you got a really dirty car and you don't want to foam it, you just want to do a rinseless, and you don't want to boost it with APC or Preludio or whatever, these two are pretty good choices. Going in for the dry is kind of where you start to see a little bit of difference here. The yum is a little slicker on the dry off, but shockingly, look at this glass. It is, I mean, not leaving anything behind. You know, at first I thought it might be leaving a little something behind just because of the feel. But as you'll see here in a second, you know, these two panels are definitely squeaky clean. So very impressive showing from the yum. It's a real pleasure to use. Now here's a different rinseless drying towel going in for the Loki. It is also really slick on the dry off. It's really difficult to say if it is slicker or less slick. It's very similar feel. It's a little different feel when you're done drying to the panel. I think Loki might take a little bit longer to give you super clean feeling. I think it takes a little longer to flash, to be honest. But that said, you don't see any issues when you're drying off the glass. There's the middle part, which is dirty. And at first, there's a little feel difference here between the two, but waiting like, you know, another minute, they both feel equally the same. They both feel very clean. So I was very impressed with these two. And, you know, this really got me thinking. I get curious, and so I went ahead and took 2 ounces of yum and wondered, will it foam like Loki? So I had to test it, and yum will foam. I wouldn't say it's as good as Loki on the foam, you know, just using an IK foamer, but it's pretty impressive, you know. So if you did just want to foam it for whatever reason, you are, you know, it's more than capable of throwing a foam. And in that typical yum foam fashion, it does not move. I don't know how they do that. And honestly, I didn't expect it from the Rinseless, but it's always fascinating to me to watch yum foam just sit on a panel. You know, almost with any spray or any dilution. Anyway, point is, these are both powerhouse cleaners. Use them both. They're really good, really slick. Not a ton of difference between them, especially on cleaning power. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.